welcome to Brilliant Chatter. This is episode 3, and today I'm joined by Kelvin Bell, the sales director at Vpress. Morning, Kelvin. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you.
Very good. So today we're going to be talking about naturally web to print, online print, COVID, how companies have kind of navigated through the lockdown into the second lockdown. So really interesting. I think for me, one fact that people will kind of not know about Kelvin is that there was an industry vote, and Kelvin came out top of the list for the person they'd most likely to like to go out for a beer with. He came in front of Ray Winston, Danny Dyer, and Ray Winston and Danny Dyer. So that was my little. It's actually not true, but it's it's criminal that we're kind of in a situation where we can't go out for a beer, we can't do this over a chat in a pub, and it's great because although we've never actually been out, I think it would be a real good gig. So we should aim to do that at some point in the future.
Definitely, most definitely, yeah.
So good. I guess the place to start would be, tell us a little bit about you, Kelvin. So in terms of, what I know your background, but, I'm sure a lot of people would like to hear about your background. I think one of the things that interests me about, and I've been quite selective about the people that I kind of interview, for want of a better word. Yeah. Whereas I think a lot about what people's backgrounds are defines almost where they are now and how good at what they do they are now. But obviously I won't say too much because obviously, so tell us a little bit about your background then, basically.
Yeah, I like what you just said there, how people's background defines who they are. That's very much key with me. So unlike a lot of people in our industry, I wasn't crawling behind presses as a child, collecting bits of hot molten lead, in order to get my first step into the print industry. I left school, I joined the military. I was in the military, the Royal Air Force, for 12 years. I was in the first Gulf War. I was an engineer on mobile radar. I traveled the world. I was very fortunate. I built a group of friends and a skill set that I can still rely on and utilize today. I left the Air Force after 12 years. There was nowhere for me to go because of shrinkage. I left to be a commercial diver. When I was in the training to be a commercial diver, I realized that although I was a very good scuba diver and I could teach people to dive, fundamentally I was very scared of being in dark places on my own, which resonates to where we are now.
Thank you.
But yeah, I decided it wasn't for me because being in a diving bell 60 meters down underwater, it just petrified me. I realized my own limitation. I thought I was capable of everything until then, and I realized I wasn't man enough for that job. So I left that, went into IT, did a few jobs. I was part of, because I had a bit of an IT background, engineering background, I was part of the team at FreeServe when FreeServe was part of Mastercare. Younger people listening to this will not have a clue what I'm talking about, but FreeServe was the first free internet service provider, then went on to work in the city for a PLC print company, setting up their online IT, made redundant from that after a few years. And we set Vpress up 19 years ago, and and the rest of it is.
How did you find that transition from coming out of the forces into, what's the technical term? Is it Civvy Street? Is that still a thing? Or
yeah?
How did you find that transition?
I found it very easy. I like the way you threw coming out. Yes, I came out. Yeah, I found it pretty straightforward. I think when you hear about the military, ex-military on the streets, unfortunately, it's more often not the army guys, and the infantry army guys, who I think don't get a good exit strategy. In the Air Force as an engineer, you're quite well sought after to remain in situ in that kind of field. I found the transition great. I felt, although coming out with a strange education in military life and and oceanography, because that was my hobby, I found that I had extra skills in that I don't mind a 12-hour day. I'm used to it, 7 till 7, great hours for me. I've always worked longer hours, probably because I'm not as bright as everybody else that I work with. But I don't mind doing the hours in order to balance that out. And I found it pretty good. When you're prepared to work hard, I'm a big believer if you work hard, the rewards come. And I think that's true. I do think that's true.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think in terms of people talk about, whether you take sales as an example, whether it's skill, whether it's luck, whether it's right place, right time. But the one thing that I do believe, and I don't just think this is about sales, it could be about anything, sport, whatever, is
Yeah.
that if you work hard and you keep doing it, and consistency is the key, you're consistent in what you do, then everybody deserves a little bit of luck,
Yeah.
And I guess, me knowing, I didn't know all of your background, but a bit of your background, I guess the point where I'm saying it defines what your future, where you are now in terms of like that sales side. And it's interesting, I had John Covey on a few weeks ago, and we were talking about people's backgrounds and how it defines you and everything else.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think it's true. If you're in that right mindset,
Yeah.
and you're used to doing things in excuse the pun, like a regimented way, if you like, and you're consistent with it,
Yeah.
then you kind of make your own luck. And I think
Yeah.
that's the kind of key thing. Um,
I would wholeheartedly agree. I'd wholeheartedly agree with that. And I'm a sales director for quite some years. It took me a long time to accept the title. I've had no formal sales training.
yeah,
No, I have not been on one course that teaches me how to sell.
no,
I apologize to anybody who sells sales training course and how to sell print, but I think it's a crock of shit.
yeah.
I think you
And I,
either know your subject or you don't know your subject. That's it.
and I think it's a lot of it is common sense. And I think, you mentioned earlier, tongue in cheek, you said, I'm not. What did you say? I'm not the brightest. I'm not the brightest guy or whatever. But
Not the brightest firework in the
it
display.
doesn't, it's mainly common sense,
Yeah,
and it's about hard work, and it's about graft, and
yeah,
what you and this is a real compliment, by the way, what you think you make lack in intelligence, if that's what you wanted to call it as, you actually make up in abundance for that common sense, that drive, that streetwise
yeah,
approach. Does that
yeah,
kind of make sense? And
yeah,
and I'm the same. I'm exactly the same.
yeah.
And I do genuinely believe that kind of past defines you. So in terms of what you're doing now, so obviously, you're sales director at Vpress. Without talking for hours about Vpress, which I'm sure we could both do, just tell me a little bit about those guys and what you do.
Just a great team of people who really know their subject and have that empathy and willingness to help. Someone recently described it as an emotional quality, your EQ level. And I think Vpress has really strong, if that's the right term, EQ levels. We're a software company. We provide solutions for a market. It's quite niche. We're one of many providers that are out there. But we do well at it because not only do we know what we do what we do well, and we do it in parallel to where the internet is going and where print has to follow.
Yeah. Okay. I think what that does is I'm gonna really hit you hard with this question. I'm gonna really throw you in at the deep end. So apologise, but what in terms of you guys support print companies like us, yeah? And obviously what we're trying to do is support that end user client, be it a marketing manager, marketing team, whatever, e-commerce person.
Yeah.
In your opinion, why do you think print companies need to take their business online?
Well, the reason why I slightly hesitated there is because I feel it's blatantly obvious, but I'll address it. There's a couple of main points. Park in the situation that we're in at the moment, just for a couple of seconds. To take the business online promotes widening your market. For B2B and B2C, you're going to a greater spectrum of potential clients with a greater reach. That model was proven by Vistaprint. Love them or hate them, Vistaprint went out with a model everywhere in the world, and everyone could go online. In the gym, you can see an advert for business cards. They extended their reach, and on the back of extending their reach and providing a service, which is quite hard to match by getting a £3 set of business cards back. What they've done is they've increased their scope of products to that market and grown substantially on the back of
Don't
that.
forget the nice little silver case that you get your business cards in as well for
Yeah,
free.
we know what they are. We know where they are in the market. They're not a competitor to you. I know that for a
No,
fact.
no.
So what they offer, but they've taken it to market. So that model's been proven, and other companies have followed suit. So going online is the way forward. Amazon, to take out the print industry, Amazon, eBay. There's a reason, Etsy. There's a reason why these platforms do well, because they're, rather than waiting for someone to walk in your front door or for a sales guy to go out with a bottle of wine and a cheeky smile to try and sweet talk some customers to buy their print and take a load of samples, that world is gone. It's gone. People now are ordering and procuring online. B2B, that's already been happening for years. That's an opportunity in itself. But now we're in COVID-19, new normal, digital transformation. Pick one of the working titles that you've got. But people, we're in lockdown from tomorrow. So your customers, how do you access your customers if not online? Because companies, B2B companies, cannot send on their email networks attachments bigger than 2 megs. Most print jobs, I'd probably argue, are probably bigger than 2 megs on a bandwidth. And B2C, how do you access people who aren't going outside? So, there's the evolution of print where it's moving forward, that promotes automation and promotes efficiency. And there's also the change, the digital transformation of where we're moving to in the face of a pandemic.
Do you think a lot of that's got to do with and again, I had this conversation the other week as well, but in terms of print, if we look back at, I don't know, 10 years ago, the type of customers that we would have dealt with would have been really astute print buyers, technical buyers, understand print, like the back of the hand, procurement buyer, print buyer, that kind of thing. Whereas now, the majority of the customers that we certainly deal with are more marketing led, marketing exec, marketing manager, director, whatever. They're I dare say it, and hopefully I don't get shot down for this, but they're of a younger age as well. They are tech savvy. They want things impulsively. They want it instantly. They want to do their own research. They want to Google, what's the best way to do this? What's the best way to do that? Do you think that, irrelevant of the COVID side of things, do you think that's the case anyway? Because the kind of people that we're now dealing with and that are coming through are that tech savvy, and that's what they want.
Yeah, I think there's 3 parts to that. And I think it's a really good point. And you're probably about right, 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, what happened? Print buyers started to disappear. And I'm old enough and been in the industry long enough to remember print buyers used to get a bunch of paper and ruffle it through to get some air into it and see paper dust and argue the toss over where the paper came from and how it was made and all those complicated substrate arguments. So print buying changed and print became a commodity. Printers didn't accept it. They absolutely didn't accept it 10 years ago. The print is a commodity. Everything is a commodity. My time, your time, everything we've got is a commodity. That was one thing. The second thing was digital got better. And when I was
digital print, we're talking about
digital
here,
print, digital print got better. And I'm looking back, say 20 years ago, we had chroma presses when I was at Documedia PLC, and a chroma press printing a solid, you could draw. It was just horrendous. The quality was just horrendous. But digital, the onset of technology, the way digital transformed itself, it just became so good. And to me, and to a lot of people who aren't putting ink on paper, it's as good as litho. It's as good as litho as you want. And then the third thing that happened was the internet started to really burst up. And up until that time, 10, 15 years ago, the technology that we use in our lives was pretty much driven by the technology in the workplace. I think that's a proven fact. Email, internet, the fax machine, the computer, we got them at work and then we got them at home.
Yeah.
And what happened is things started to change and we had the onset of social media riding on that. And now what happens in the home drives to how we are at work. So at home we use Amazon, so why can't we go to work and order our print like we can at Amazon and order the DIY materials that we need to do at our house? So the internet got so much better. Mobile phones got better. Instead of a BlackBerry, we had a PDA. We've got a personal data device which is going to there and assist us. We can talk into it. It will take notes. we do Facebook, we do LinkedIn, we've got all this social media. We've got more social media than we know what to do with. Every
Yeah.
week there's another thing of social media. You've got to get on this, otherwise you're going to miss the boat. I'm probably not. I'm probably past that now. LinkedIn, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. It works for sales. Pretty much everything else, I'm probably a bit of a dinosaur on.
Yeah. What do you think drives that desire to change? Do you think it's, and I touched on this a few minutes ago, do you think it's people's ability, if we take B2C, for example, to start off with, do you think it's people's ability, people's requirement to want something quick? Do you think it's they want it cheap? Or is it just that feeling of I can do it at home, sat on my sofa while I'm eating my tea? Purely B2C. What do you think's driven that change for that Vistaprint, that web to print, and we'll talk about the word web to print later, but
Yeah.
that facility to be able to order print online on a B2C, what do you think's really driven that change?
I think it's a bit of everything. And, we finish work, we go down, we watch a bit of TV. We've got TV on demand. We've got Netflix, we've got Amazon Prime, and
Streaming channels,
yeah,
an array, yeah.
we've got it on demand. I'm sitting working on a proposal. I want to listen to some music. I've got it on demand. I can stream it. It's the convenience of it. It's the fact that I can go on my phone, and I did it a couple of weekends ago. I needed some screws, and I couldn't be bothered to go to my DIY shop. I went on Amazon. They were delivered the next day. Amazon set, love them or hate them, I think everyone's using Amazon more than they did. Amazon can get what you want at a good price, which is probably a little bit more than what you would pay by going to a shop. And they'll get it delivered at your convenience to home, and I can do it on my phone. I don't even have to put my credit card in. I just swipe that little dial and it's going to arrive. And I know I've got the confidence it's going to arrive. So when
Yeah.
you put that into the B2C market, and I want something, I want something at home. The two things that people don't want to wait. I don't want to go and, Dave, I need to order some print. That's my need. And you're going to say, well, okay, I'm going to need to work out a price that, because print's a bit more complicated. Then I need to work out how I'm going to get it. And then I need to work out how I'm going to schedule that in. Do you know what? Those three things, I don't care. As a consumer, I do not give a shit about those three things.
Yeah.
What I want from you is I want some print and I want it tomorrow. If you can't do tomorrow, the next day. That's what I want. Don't go into all the detail around it. Just fulfill my need at my convenience.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that is
Did
it.
you? And that's fine, from a B2C model, and we'll talk about B2B in a second. But would you say that companies of the likes of like Photobox, for example, they were the real instigators of that B2C print platform? I know we mentioned Vistaprint, and I'd say that was, obviously if I'm a plumber, an electrician, or a solicitor, I want some, quick, cheap stationery, for example.
Yeah.
But would you say like the early adopters of the old B2C print was the likes of Photobox and Funky Pigeon and all them kind of people?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, Funky Pigeon, you look at Moonpig, you look at what they did. I mean, when you're old enough to remember where they came from, Moonpig was just a printer.
They just started off obviously just doing like greetings cards, but now you go on like Moonpig and you can order, pretty much anything, can't you?
And technically that market, if you were going to start off as a printer now, you probably wouldn't go down that market. If you're going to go into a business, you more than likely wouldn't open a Clinton's. You wouldn't go down and create a card shop, because that market is pretty much dominated by two players within our market who commoditize a product that's personalized to you and gives you the convenience, I'll come back to that word again, to send your mum, your dad, your wife, your boyfriend, your husband, whatever, sends you that message that you want to convey across to them. And you know what, for a guy, it is superb, because you know what, I don't have to get any stamps, I don't have to go to the post box.
And it's all lastminute.com as well.
Yeah, it is, lastminute.com. There's another one, at convenience. Yeah.
I think, we were talking about this just before we started the call earlier, but, it's like you say, you wouldn't necessarily now go into that market. People are now, though, looking at something more specific, like we mentioned, whether it be personalized face masks, for example, or, personalized whatever, grated cheese boards, whatever. It's about being nicher than the greetings card market and that personalized market. It's about picking a specific product that you know is going to do well in this particular time.
Yeah.
But you also know that you've got maybe a 3 to 6 month lifespan before you then need to think of the next big thing. And I guess that's the challenge on that B2C. If we took kind of B2B, which is where my passion is, in terms of helping teams, businesses at all different levels in terms of how to either let's use the word buy print for their business or their customers. If we talk about web to print, online print, buying print online in that market, this is what really interests me because, obviously not everybody wants to place print work online in a B2B situation. And that's typically driven around the complexity of the job,
Yeah.
the value of the job, how important the job is, what the deadlines are. But really, I would say it's about complexity. And there's probably a perception that in terms of online print, it's fine for business cards, leaflets, standard stuff, if you like, but you wouldn't necessarily buy online a case-bound 182-page book that's got die-cut bits, foil blocking on it, embossing, all these extra finishes that would make it a luxury brochure. You wouldn't buy that online, or I certainly wouldn't. So how do you think that the old B2B market has evolved in terms of buying print online? And do you agree even with what I've just said? Because you don't have to, it's.
I don't disagree and I don't agree. I think the B2B market, I think the problem we've got in this country is that we just don't understand the B2B market. Now, straight away, I'm going to piss people off by saying that, and I know that, and I do apologise for it. But the
You're
thing
good
is,
at you're good at that though, yeah. You're good at that.
yeah, and I'm always good at apologising. And if I've upset anyone on this call, I'll buy them a beer. I don't mind. I'll buy anyone a beer, Dave. I don't mind. So the B2B market, to understand that, what's the driver of that market? The driver of that market is procurement. Right. So no matter how important the print is, no matter how essential it is to do what they need to do, everything from point of sale right through to mail shots, to marketing brochures, to whatever item of print it is, procurement is the driver. Procurement overweighs marketing. When a company's got lots of money, marketing is really important, the brand awareness and that. When a company doesn't have money or the market's challenging, procurement drive it. That's with British Airways, that's with Nike, that's with Amazon, right? All those companies we've engaged with. So to understand procurement, systems are now in place. So a company, a brand, a decent sized business, a medium to large enterprise, if you want, will use a system. They'll use an SAP Ariba, an Oracle, a Salesforce.com. Don't expect people to know what these names are, but these are the Amazon environments for a brand to do that. And the reasoning why they will do that is because it centralizes their procurement, it gives them total transparency of spend, and it gives them granular detail of what they're buying, when they're buying it, and who they're buying it from. And on the back of that, marketing can say, actually, printer X or printer Y can actually get our orange or our blue or our yellow right, and they're the right person for digital or litho or inkjet or whatever else you want to order. So you need to understand that it's now becoming a technology-led environment where you can go in. Now, that's not to say it's bad for printers, because what printers will do, even when they're faced with the opportunity that one of their customers will say, I need to go on Ariba, or I need to go on Oracle, or all councils are on Oracle. It's not that difficult to engage with. The first thing a printer will say, hang on, I've got to spend some money in order to do that. It's not expensive, but they've got to spend some, but there's some huge advantages. It gets you in, pick a council, it gets you into that council environment, right? So you're in there and you're the main printer by being able to integrate it. You, on average, get paid in 4 working days with no invoicing. There's no sending invoices. When I worked at a print company, we used to stop work for 2 or 3 days at the end of the month to do invoicing.
Get invoicing out, yeah.
Yeah, it was wonderful seeing people pulling job bags up and just checking things, 1 in 10, validating what was being invoiced and that. So what happens is that money goes into your business bank account within 4 working days. because it's easier for them to pay you on an automatic rate. You might take a hint. There might be a bit of negotiation there. What that means is it allows the customer and you more time to look at that perfect bound 32-page brochure that's printed in a myriad of ways and has some exceptional finishing, and to discuss on how that project's going to be. And that also is a commoditized item, even though there's a lot of variable.
So what you're kind of saying there is, within reason, get the jobs online, get the jobs in a process, get the jobs that are straightforward, are simple,
Yeah.
online. That then gives you more time to handle the bigger projects, the more value add projects, the kits, the pick and the packs, the complex stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. Look at it from this angle. So me and you are of an age where we've seen the onset of print management, right? And we do a lot of work in America, Australia. I was in Japan last year. There's British print management companies or print management companies that have originated from here, who've exported their services around the world, and they do a really good job. I know printers like to give a bit of stick, but they do a really good job. And what they do that a printer doesn't do, they do two things. One, they offer that global reach, because whatever you want to buy, whatever the commodity is, they will set an office up. They'll actually, we haven't got anything in Tokyo. We'll send Phyllis over and she can work out Tokyo.
Yeah.
They'll do that, and they'll work with partners. So they've got that open-mindedness that often a printer doesn't have. Not all printers. The other thing they do is when you used to go to a printer, and I'm showing my age now, 20 years ago, I would say that I need to order this particular item, and a printer, oh, you don't want that. You want this. Shouldn't be on that paper. Should be on this. Actually, I went there with an expectation of what I wanted, and you've tried to tell me that that's not correct. Print manager doesn't care, because they're just adding a margin onto it, and going to provide that you with as much of that wherever you want it, however you want it. And that's where print management has come on board, and that's one of the things that printers haven't actually grasped hold of.
To do, yeah.
Yeah.
If obviously, and it is, from a purely selfish perspective, we do print, obviously.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of customers that are marketing focused. That's really important to them. They want to speak to us. They want to not necessarily see us now, but they want to speak to us. They want to know that you are, it's a bit cheesy, but you're that safe pair of hands, right?
Yeah.
So they know that if they ring me up, marketing customer A rings me up and says, Dave, I've got this project that I've got on. It's a magazine that we're doing. We're going to do the magazine. We've got a carrier sheet. It's personalized. It's got variable data print on it. It's then poly wrapped or paper wrapped. And we've got X number, lots of different inserts in it. And we want to mail it out to 20,000 people. And we want you to handle the returns for us as well, and feed us information back about gonaways and deceased and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There is no way that can be done online. There is just no way that can be. Maybe elements can, but ultimately, so I'm kind of playing a bit of devil's advocate here, but I truly believe there is always going to be room for both. There is always going to be projects that can't be done online. You are always going to get customers that don't want to do it online because they don't feel safe doing it that way. They're suspicious if something goes wrong. I mean, take an online printer, for example, and I've never done this, and I'm just thinking out loud. I've got a problem. I've placed an order on a job. It's online. It's with an online printer. Shit, I've made a mistake. How do I get it stopped? Who do I speak to? What do I do? How do I get that job stopped?
Yeah.
There's all these all these considerations where, and don't get me wrong, I'm a massive advocate of online. We're not a print company that says print is best, everything goes print. I see the value in it all.
Yeah.
But I can put myself in some of my customers' positions, particularly some of the lesser experienced ones that don't understand print because that's not their focus. We see in a younger generation of people come up that are not print savvy, they're not print technical. They don't want to be, they don't care. They care about what the product does, not how it's manufactured. Whether it's digital print, litho print, web print, whatever, that's not their interest. So I genuinely can see room for both, but I do agree with you wholeheartedly that as a business, businesses, print businesses, end user businesses should really be embracing that technology
Yeah.
in order to how we can simplify the process, remove the touch points, speed up the process.
Yeah.
People want instant pricing. They want to know when the job's going to get delivered. And, you know, I think the challenge with that though is cost. Integrating with an MIS provider, we will not talk about that today because it will start to, integration costs and software costs will start to upset me. But there is a cost, and it's about looking at what that ROI is and going, if I've got this much print that's going to be done online, should I integrate? Can I integrate? How much effort is it going to take me to integrate? So there's a lot of questions. We could touch on
So
that later, but purely like the B2B stuff,
yeah.
I do think there is room for both.
Well, I mean, you've just raised several points in that question stroke statement, right? So let me, with my reduced intellect, try and address a couple of them, because I think you've just hit a couple of really, really good points. So yeah, you're right. I don't disagree with you in any way whatsoever. But the way you go about it, I would challenge that if anybody said, "Well, this is online, that's not online." So when you're dealing with that customer, if you can automate 50, 40%, 30% of the work, that's giving you more time. It's actually maximizing your profit and assisting you in automation. So it makes you more scalable as well.
Yeah,
So first of all, I don't think anyone is going to, I would never profess that 100% of all jobs are going to go through online, right?
great.
I would say that notice of those jobs through an RFQ system or a request can go online, and they can be registered with a purchasing system because that's the way businesses like to work, and they like to have accountable spend and notification. So I think part of that job can go online to offer part efficiencies and therefore appear in your MIS. That comes on to MIS integration. I'm a huge advocate that if you've got an MIS, link it to your front end, to your web shop, and automate it coming through. There'll probably be a couple of people listening to this who will be saying, well, I'm glad he said that. I do. I actually think you should tie up your front end to your MIS and not do any keystrokes or entry anytime, because there's an advantage to do that. The final part, say that I can see that that touches a nerve. I know, but there's the final part of that I would say is that when you want to make a change from an online printer, yeah, that's great. You can do that because you know what? Things that are more complicated, things that are things that are more complicated in relation to their urgency and their need are airplane flights, right? Now, there's an airline that calls it Europe's favorite airline. They're clearly not Europe's favorite airline. They do make me swear a lot because they don't give you your money back when they cancel the flights. And I'm not going to name any names to the little Irish airline that I'm talking about. But, if I go online and I order a flight to Frankfurt for a business trip, and I'm in a rush to do that, then and funny enough, I was going to see Heidelberg at the time. I didn't go online. I thought I'd be sure. I rang Ryanair and I ordered it. Yep, absolutely no problem. To Frankfurt. Ryanair don't fly to Frankfurt. Ryanair fly to Frankfurt Hahn, and he sent me to some ex-Luftwaffe base just outside Switzerland, 220 kilometers in the wrong direction, which just added a whole bunch of stress on it. Now, if I'd gone online, I wouldn't have found that information out. And by ringing them up, I didn't ask the right questions to the Europe's favorite little Irish airline. And I was left in that situation where I was going to miss my appointment despite having spent €400. So what happens with the reason why I'm explaining that is a commodity. I'm buying that ticket to get on an airplane, to fly, to put my life in danger with the Irish airline, and to go across there and miss my appointment. All of those things that are revolved around that, the parking, everything of that is commoditized. And it was all done. And if I made a mistake, I ring them up again. They're going to charge me to make that's standard. If I make a mistake on Tesco's now on the order, they're going to charge me to amend that, because an amendment is a commoditized service on top of the commoditized product, whatever that product is that I've made. That is the market. And if we don't believe that is the market, if I want something, going back to convenience, I want to order something that's going to arrive for tomorrow. If I change my mind tonight, it's not going to arrive tomorrow. It's going to arrive the day after, and the price may change because of demand, because of delivery, because of different supplier. So you've got to have that. You can have one thing. You can have something tomorrow. You can have it now. You can have it tomorrow. You can have it the next day. But what you pay and what your expectations are need to be managed throughout that process. And print is absolutely becoming that commodity with all the other commodities that are out there.
Yeah, I think I think again, you're exactly right, and it's I do believe it's excuse the phrase horses for courses. You will always have customers that are comfortable placing a job online. You will always have customers that want to ring up and do it verbally. You will always have people that want to send an email. You'll always have people that want to deal with Fred because they've always dealt with Fred. The point is, and it's something you touched on very early in, was it's about giving the customer choice. And different people want different things. Different people are comfortable with different things. And I think the one thing that as a print company we have to do, and other print companies out there, is adapt and give people that choice and accept that everybody is different and everybody wants to do it in the way that they feel comfortable at that moment in time.
Yeah.
And I think that's like really important. I mean, I love web to print. I'll be honest. I think it's a great tool. We've had some fantastic wins as a business, and in previous lives, I've had some fantastic wins with it as well. For me, I think I have a customer that deals in animal care, and I used to have a constant battle around about online print, and online print is can be more cost effective than coming to you for my print, um, and one of the things I love about web to print is that we can adapt that model, that system. We can make it personalized to that end user. So if I said, for example, that animal care, they've got 500 different outlets, they got 500 different outlets, 500 different practices, and they want the ability to log on to a portal as an end user site, see the goods and the collateral that are branded up with their logo on it, with their address on it and everything. When they go and make that purchase, they are making a purchase for vaccination record, right? So lady or man, on the reception at the end user site, they know they want a vaccination record, right? They don't know that it's a 4-page A5, that it's printed full color, that it's printed on, 350 gram silk, and it's creased and it's folded and it's put in a box and it's sent out. Yeah. We take away the technical aspect because they're not technical people. These are people that are used to picking up a phone, booking in that pet for that appointment. They don't give a shit about what the spec is. They don't need to know.
Yeah.
Whereas if they went on that same journey with an online, and I'm talking specific online printer, let's use Vistaprint because you talked about them earlier. They've got this thing in front of them. They know it's a vaccination record, but they don't know how it's printed. They can't look at that model on Vistaprint and go, oh, is it A5, A4? Yeah, they might know the size. But the one thing that I've found is that what we're doing is we're allowing them to buy a product, not a print specification. Are you
Yeah.
with me? And
Yeah.
that's what I really love about that B2B environment and putting it in that solution. And that is why I love, like the web to print side. And I think that the system is great. Um, the one thing that, in terms of web to print, like what, and it kind of follows on with what I'm just talking about. What do you actually think of that name? Like, do you think that, do you use that name even? Is that even a
I,
suitable name?
I,
Because,
I, yeah, I do, and I hate it.
yeah,
I
because
hate it.
for a lot of people, it's not web to print, is it? It's web to order tray, you know?
It's, it was in the early days, it was e-commerce for print. It was, it was stock and it was business cards. It was e-commerce, online ordering, what people call web to print. In some people's minds, it's business cards. I haven't demoed a business card system in I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
Um,
Nobody's
but
giving them out now, mate, are they? So that'd be
no,
pointless.
yeah, well, I think that's something that's it's moved on. But I mean, dynamic publishing, is a bit more of a mouthful. It's probably more encompassing. I think web to print. Gary Peeling, a guy we both know, once said to me, he goes, "Well, it's web to anywhere. It's web to nowhere. It doesn't have to be. It could be downloaded. It could be sent. It could be sent to someone else. It could go through from one printer to another printer somewhere else on the other side of the world. It just web to print just doesn't encompass all the different things that it can actually do. And I think having something restrictive as a title is not a good idea anyway. The downside of that is I'm not clever enough to come up with something that's better. I don't have anything better than web to print. So at the moment we use it. Someone clever than I will come up. Some clever
Yeah.
marketeer will come up with a better name.
For any marketers kind of listening into this conversation, they've heard a lot about buying print online. They've heard a lot about the word web to print. But if you could kind of summarize and just take yourself out of the situation at the moment, in the fact that a lot of the time you're dealing with the print company that is trying to deal with that end user.
Yeah.
What would you kind of say? What is web to print? Like what are its main uses? What do you think for that marketing person sat out there that's going, I've heard of this web to print thing, but I'm not really sure. Tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are on that. How would you sell it into that marketing person?
Yeah, I would say, it works with your procurement processes, whatever those procurement processes would be. But web to print is print management. It fundamentally is print management. And the term print management isn't good enough as well, because printers manage print.
Yeah.
And they're actually the center of print management is managing the print to the presses. That's what web to print does. It encapsulates the online experience, the expectation, the need for now, the convenience, as we mentioned before. It also encapsulates the brand that you're dealing with to ensure there's the correct brand enforced and going through. It negates the need of having creative people with expensive Macs and Adobe InDesign from having to edit all those files and being charged an outrageous amount per hour just to change a percentage or a telephone number on a job. A customer can do it at their convenience.
See, because straight away there though, and again, I've had this over the years. I've had this conversation many times before. You've just pissed off all the design community there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
By saying don't use designers, but the way I sell it into them, for want of a better word, and this is not a negative what you've just said, by the way, is as a designer, do you really want to be editing a business card or changing a price? You want to be doing the really creative stuff.
Yeah.
And again, presumably it ties in with what we're talking about if you get the majority of your print jobs online, it gives you more time to do the sexy stuff, the more complex stuff.
Yeah.
And surely that's the same for the design side of it as well.
Well, you've mentioned designers. So if I've pissed off some designers, a part of me is apologetic, a part of me doesn't give a shit. And the reason why, I'll quantify that. One is, I'm sorry, because I don't mean to piss anybody off, and I'll still buy them a beer if they come up to me. But the other one, the reason why I don't give a shit is because the print industry has been taxed by the creative agency. When we went down the recession in 2003 and again in 2008, 2009, printers were actually hammered on margins, as you well know, but creative agents still had to charge for the fluffiness around it. Now, I'm not anti-creatives by any means whatsoever. I've got friends who are creatives. Some of our customers are creatives. But if creative agencies are charging an hour's rate of £100 or £60 an hour to change a percentage rate or a telephone number, which still happens in our industry, and then they're quibbling over £2 per unit on a job that's going through to press, there's an imbalance there. Designers shouldn't be doing the basic amendments. And I've actually been asked to leave some creative agencies because fundamentally all they're doing is just repurposing artwork to send through to the printer and hammer the printer for lower margins. I've seen all the games that the creative agencies have played over the years, and there's a lot of good ones. We work with good creative agencies, but if a creative agency is charging £50 an hour, minimum of an hour, to change a name on a marketing brochure or a date or something like that, and they're classing that as creative work, then web to print is absolutely going for that market, and they haven't got a leg to stand on. A real creative agency to me is an agency that actually says, you know what, just as a printer would, I'm going to automate that. There's a system. Your online ordering's going through. You can do it with Vista, you can do it with Vpress, you can do it with whoever you want. But what we're going to do is, when you refresh the brand, when you repurpose the brand, when we're going to have new products and new campaigns, we're going to talk to you. We're not going to charge you, a minimum now. We're actually going to create a campaign, because that's the value the creatives have got. I come from a technical background. I can't tell you what color goes on the wall next to what color the woodwork should be. I couldn't tell you what colors go together and don't, but a creative agency, that they're clever enough, and I appreciate what they can do with a logo, with a color palette, for a brand, using images, the right substrates in order to get that. And that's what the creative agency, that's what the marketing person at the creative agency should be doing, not thinking, how many billable hours can I get for repurposing their artwork? Because that market still exists, and that market's on its way out.
It's about, for me, it's about having the foresight and being proactive as an agency or a marketing agency or whatever, sitting down with that end user client and going, we've got this great tool that you could possibly use. Yes, it's going to mean that there's not as many billable hours, and I wouldn't suggest that it's put over in that way. There's not going to be as many billable hours, but the relationship that you then build by giving them a solution, which means they can change things instantly, they can put things out online.
Yeah.
Surely that relationship, it ties them in, for want of a better word. And I think that's pretty much what you're saying. So as a marketeer, or whatever, we're using web to print, it would take care of the need to have those amendments done, like we're talking about, change this, change that. There's that brand consistency. It's about the brand protection as well, because obviously you can lock down certain elements of the artwork. So we've got the ability to order it any place, anytime, anywhere. Martini, we've got the always links back to the pub. We've then got the ability to not be spending so much in terms of physical hours making amendments, because certain people may make their own amendments, not necessarily using an agency. We've got that brand consistency. Anything else? What else would you say?
It eliminates maverick spend. It stops people going off using another agency, devaluing the brand. It stops people doing what they used to do years ago, using Paint, Microsoft Paint, great tool, by the way, of taking logos and repurpose them because they think they can improve their brand. It stops people, diluting what the brand actually physically means. It took me a long time to understand the power of a brand. I didn't get it straight away, coming from an engineering background, but now I get it. The financial colors, blue, retailer brand positioning, the why you enforce the brand, and print is the brand. We see the brand online, but you can go look at different computer screens and different devices, and you get different colors, blues, and everything. But print, if it's done properly, really does encapsulate the brand. You see a good piece of print, you remember that piece of print.
What would you say to anybody listening in that thinks, they might have a perception that web to print's only for big customers? I'll use one, and I don't know whether this is one of your customers or not, but we'll say McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
So if you took McDonald's, McDonald's essentially is a franchise business. They're all operating under the McDonald's brand, and let's just say, I imagine there's people out there that own, 2 franchises or 50 franchises or whatever, and they want to put out some collateral, and they log on to a web to print portal. It's all branded up as McDonald's. They go, right, I want to put whether McDonald's have offers or not, but we've got an offer, we've got a leaflet we want to put out, or some vouchers. I log onto the system. It's all fully branded up. I click on it. I change a price. I change a venue. My address dynamically populates, all that kind of stuff. And I print 500 leaflets for all of my 36 branches of McDonald's. Yeah. People go, fantastic. But that's McDonald's, and they're like massive. What would you say around that, where the people have got that perception of web to print's only for a lot of jobs of, big value kind of thing?
I think it used to be that in the early days. Now it's pretty much for anybody. If somebody's coming back from work in London in regular time frame, and they want to order their print because it's something they haven't done, it's the convenience of that person to be able to order that job. I've got a customer who they have their customer. I work with printers, print managers, office product companies, agencies now.
Yeah.
I've actually got a printer who has a really globally recognized brand, a prestigious brand, who places 1 order per month on his web to print system, and we charge him. And I actually rang the guy a few years ago, And I rang and I said, this can't be worth you. I feel bad that we're charging this money and you've got one order going through. And he said, the problem with you, Kelvin, is you don't understand what web to print does. So straight away, I love the conversation because I'm being challenged. And I'm here. People like us, we need to be challenged. We need people to ring us up and say, actually, you're wrong. Otherwise, we're just going to go off half-cocked. So I thought, okay, I'm going to listen. So carry on, Chris. How don't I get this? He said, day or night, they will ring up, they'll log into the system and they'll see the 20 products they've got, and once a month there'll be an order there where they just have to get the telephone number from the web to print site, and they'll ring that number and there's someone there 24/7, and we will do royal invitation, say, on the back of it, and there'll be an order that comes through to some ceremony, and it's 100-200 grand job.
Wow.
He said, I said, but that's not really web to print. You could have a website. He said, no, what they want to do is they want to go online and they want to order it 10 o'clock at night. They want to place that order. They realize they can't find it, but they've got a 24-hour help desk and it goes through. It's not the regular print market, but it's web to print that's doing something just with a telephone number. Another item, we've got a case study of a customer at the start of COVID-19 who wasn't producing any jobs. And by doing a job submission system, they've used web to print for lots of different customers just to send jobs through. So it's not really web to print. It's kind of a clever email tool. It's really basic on our software. They browse, select, it checks the file, they fill in some details, what they want, and it sends the job through. If there's a problem with the job, they ring the customer back. That was a reactive solution to COVID-19 that's been fantastic. There's a case study on our website about that. And there's other companies who've now started to go down that route. So web to print's whatever you want it to be, but it used to be anyone who ordered less than 100 orders a month, it wasn't really viable. It doesn't matter now because there's a bigger picture. Web to print is just part of that.
And it's so quick to set storefronts up now, isn't it? It's not like it used to be, years ago where, you'd be saying to a customer, well, if I'm going to set you up as a customer on my web to print platform, it's a 2.5 grand fee up front. We'll do you a nice big shop window. It takes you 3 weeks to develop it. And literally you could probably set a storefront up with half a dozen non-complex products within, what, am I being silly, a couple of hours, half a day?
I said, if you rang me tomorrow and you said you wanted to use our software, we wanted a branded demo, and we want to go see a customer, it's going to take me 20 minutes to create a storefront.
Yeah.
If we've got stock products, I can put 100 products in, upload a spreadsheet, 5 minutes. If I want to have a templated product, subject to how complicated it is, but say a logo, a couple of text fields, a date field, I'm going to say half an hour. So what I've done, an hour and a half, I've just created lots of different products. I'm going to demo the variable one. I've got a portal that's all branded, mobile responsive, and I can show it on different platforms. And I can do it remotely or in person, give you access, job done. And as a sales guy, I have to have something that I can sell to people, that I can do that, because my customers and my prospects now, before they buy web to print, they'll say to me, and we've had this conversation a couple of times as well, so you want to show it to the customer can be challenging because we are customers, we're challenging to the people we buy for, and we've got to meet the challenges that the customer puts onto us. And I want to be able to show that to validate that the technology is going to do what everybody wants to do, because I actually think sometimes I'm the modern day equivalent of finishing, so I'm selling to printers, and printers have to appease their customers, same as the finishing guys in the finishing industry. And that's what we've got to do. So we don't sell directly to corporates. We rely on you, and we support you to sell to your customers.
But that's a really interesting point. And do you think that, as in terms of print companies, and again, not asking, no names are going to get mentioned, but you are relying on us as print businesses to sell that experience, that journey, that technology, the benefits of it into that end user. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you feel that, as a general rule, print companies are good at that or not good at that?
No. And I think one of the differentiators about us, and I'm going to be talking from a Vpress point of view, is that we do sales training, we do support training. I actually think there's a lack of people who can sell in the industry. And again, I don't want to offend anyone. I've already admitted that I'm not trained professionally in this capacity. But what I'm good, I think I am analytical. It's never been easier to get people's contact details than it is right now. you know. So where people were transient and moving around, pretty much everyone is sitting in the office or sitting at home. Less people are moving around. There's tools there. You've got Google, you've got LinkedIn, you've got plugins for LinkedIn where I can get everyone's email address. I've got all this information to hand. With video, the internet's good enough. So, you know, we've got the tools that we need to get that message across. We've got to support our customers, and that's what we do. Our account managers are outstanding. You know, I get dragged in, and we do a bit of sales training. We do demos. We're doing a lot more videos. We're giving our customers access to video demonstrations. So we have to support our customers because our customers are reselling what we do, and there's no obligation to do that. If we're not good at what we're doing, you're going to go off and use some other web to print company that's not as good because we
Yeah.
haven't given you the amount of support you need.
And again, just picking up from what you just said there, what do you if somebody's out there at the moment and I don't know, they're a print company or they're an end user, you know, and they're thinking, I like the idea of web to print, I've heard of it before, I know it kind of does this. What would you say are the kind of things that they they need to look out for? So if I'm sat there thinking, I think this could be for me, is
Yeah.
there any advice that you could give to people out there in terms of how they should approach it? What's good? What's best practice?
There's eight things you need to look at. You need to know, is it internationalized? Believe it or not, we live in an internationalized community. Welsh, you have to have Welsh for a system if you're dealing in Wales. But in London, we've got a myriad of languages are involved. You need to have an API to connect to your customers. Where's the technical support? If it's in Eastern Europe or Asia, there's nothing wrong with development people in Eastern Europe or Asia, but now people want to be able to do projects now and speak to somebody, and sometimes the time zone is a bit challenging, you know. So where's your technical resource? Where's it hosted? You know, January, February, March next year, we're going into Brexit. These systems that are hosted in the cloud, in some third in some third world environment because it's cheaper. That's not good enough. It isn't good enough. Data security, data integrity have to be managed. So where's the support? Who owns the company you're coming from? So at Vpress, we resisted any office of purchase, either in full or part. But you know, there's web to print solutions that are owned by your competitors that are in the market. You know, it just doesn't work. It just cannot work. You know, how would you feel about it? So, you know, you stick to those kind of principles and you do a financial check. Run a financial check. Especially now, is your technology provider that's going to help you grow your business and engage with your customers, are they going to go bust tomorrow? Because when they do go bust, that causes a massive headache. We've had to
Yeah.
pick up those pieces several times.
I think that's key. I think certainly a lot of print companies out there would focus pretty much on credit checking the customer, but probably sometimes never really credit check the suppliers and the people that are important. You know,
Yeah,
you are right. If all of us, and you know, it's no secret we are a Vpress user, but if
yeah,
Vpress were to go down on us tomorrow, which is obviously not going to happen, you'd think I'm now in a world of shit. So that
yeah,
I do think that that's probably one of the most important things to actually check is
yeah,
that financial stability of the business that you want to get in with.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So did you say there were 8 things or several things? Or
Yeah. Well, there's 8 things. There's API. There's integration ERP, CRM systems. There's B2B, B2C solutions. There's having a model that works around you. We have a click model or a license model. It doesn't matter. Financial check, where the system is hosted, where it's support, and if it's internationalized.
yeah,
Those are the 8 things.
would you say cost is one of those things, or is it? Would you say that within reason, and again using this kind of terminology, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Is different different products are available that have different models. So some are
Yeah.
payment up front, some
Yeah.
are click charge, some are a little bit up front, a little bit on
Yeah.
modules.
Yeah.
They're all pretty much of a muchness, or is cost not really a factor that?
I think cost is. I mean, we do our best to keep our costs low. We don't make any money selling the software.
No.
So we don't make in the sale, we make in the tail. We make by engaging. And what that means is we have to keep coming back to you and say, Dave, what else can we do? What else can we do? You got some integration, right? Let's do the integration. You need to put a credit card payment on a site. We can do that. You need some extra development. We're a software house. We cannot, you know, I mentioned earlier about commoditizing what we've done, what all of us do. We commoditize as much as we can, but you know, some of the work, and you know this yourself, a customer will want something specifically, and we'll have to work around that. So
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that, like, obviously we are in, I'm conscious that some people might listen to this now, some people could listen to it in a year's time, but
Yeah.
right now we are about to go into lockdown tomorrow, like you say. We've just come out over the summer of a really extended lockdown period. People are at home, life's difficult.
Yeah.
What do you think, and we've probably covered some of this earlier on, but what do you think makes the time that we're in, COVID, makes web to print a perfect thing to have, a perfect opportunity?
Because rather than having a salesperson who's going to go to one location to talk all the users, all the people who are buying your product in a B2B environment, rather than have one person go to an office and engage with our customers, you've now got a platform that can, wherever they are, on a mobile, sitting at home, like today, like we are, they can access your storefront. They can put jobs on your presses from wherever they are. So it's perfect for that. It's even if I just want to send you a job now, Dave, I need this. I just need this printed for tomorrow. I don't care what kit you've got. I don't care what finishing you've got. You guys do an amazing job, but I've got a relationship with you. I just need it. Web to print just reaches out in a way that you just can't conventionally.
Yeah. Do you, in terms of like print generally, how do you feel in terms of like the period? And I accept that you're not a printer, but you do work with printers.
Yeah.
What do you think the future is going to look like? Like, do you think we're in for some kind of rough times ahead? Do you think that we should get out of this pretty soon? You must have a lot of conversations with a lot of print companies, and everybody's at the moment going to be operating on different percentage levels pre-COVID. But
Yeah.
what do you think the outlook looks like for the average print company?
That's a difficult question, isn't it? That's
Yeah. Well, I
you
said
know.
I said I was going to ask you difficult questions. Yeah.
Okay, I would put them into two categories. There's those that are looking online and there's those that are not. The ones that are not looking online, I'm sorry, but the future is not bright. I don't care if you've got one customer who, you engage with in a certain way, and that's the way they've always worked. That will not last forever. So you do what you need to do, you carry on to do that. But if you are looking online, you've got to find a partner that you can work with, you can rely upon, you can call upon. You're not going to get a bill for helping them with a demo, that you're going to, that is progressive, that's taking the software further forward, that's going to support you on tender questions. This is not a short-term thing. This was happening, things were moving forward. Digital transformation existed pre-COVID-19. Things are moving forward, things are changing. What's happening now is everything's been expedited. Everything's happening quickly now. If we come out of lockdown for Christmas, we may have it again a little bit next year. We need to be ready. We need to be automated, maximize profitability by increasing automation, increasing scalability. So if you do have a suite product that goes out to market in B2B, B2C, get it on your presses, sell it in as many channels as you can, and engage with your customers and make that a sticky relationship longer term.
Yeah.
There is some positivity out there.
I'm going to be blunt as I am. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and people that know me get that. Are you basically making some kind of claim? I'm not putting a time limit on it. That pretty much says, look, if you are a print company that is not currently or thinking about taking some of the products that they deliver online within the next, and again, I'm not going to put a time limit on it, but for argument's sake, 3 to 5 years,
Yeah.
you are screwed. You aren't going to be here. And that's me being direct. You feel that strongly about it that you would make that claim.
Yeah, there's some exceptions. I would say, printers of a banknote, chances are that's not going to go online.
No.
That kind of thing, the security industry. But yeah, I'd say 3 to 5 years without a doubt. If you do not have an online strategy now, you are behind that curve. You've got to get on the curve or get near the front of the curve or be in front of the curve. But you've got to get on that line. Not with us. If not with us, if I go to a website, always check out a printer's website. If there's a kit list on a website, honestly, most customers don't care.
We don't have one. We don't have one.
Yeah, and they don't care what web to print you're using. What they do care about, does it work? Yeah. Do I need software to do it? How restrictive is it? How open is it? How does it integrate? So you've got to be online. And I shouldn't even be saying that. It is a difficult question, but it's so obvious. It's unbelievable. If you're not online, why not? Ask yourself. Ask yourself.
Yeah, and like I say, I think we're always having conversations around, is print dead? No, it's absolutely not dead. But the way people order it, the way people use it, is going to be very different, and is different, and is changing all the
Yeah.
time. So,
Yeah.
I don't believe it's dead. I think that, like I said, the way people order it, the way they engage with it, what they do with it,
Yeah.
is absolutely not going to be the traditional way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, and again, we are different people. Of course, I wouldn't be as open to say that, that if you're not putting all your products, online within X number of years, that you're not going to be here anymore.
Yeah.
But I do believe that that company, that is a traditional print business, that all they do is just sheets on, ink on paper, sheets through presses. They're going to find it very, very, very tough.
Yeah.
And it's about, do people have the appetite to want to make the change? Because not everybody does. It depends
Yeah.
on what their exit strategy is, what their long-term plan of the business is.
Yeah.
But companies that do want to be here in 10 years time, 15 years time, 20 years time, they won't survive on just being that traditional print company.
Yeah. I
Um,
agree.
and you are right, in much as the decisions that are now being made by print companies are being sped up massively, and
Yeah.
that is being driven by COVID. There'll be people out there that were potentially, looking to get out. For example, get out.
Yeah.
Those conversations might have been happening in 5 years' time. They're probably now happening in 3 to 6 months' time.
Do you know,
Um,
I didn't prepare this. This is just part of my clearing out with another month working from home. But I found a bunch of publications going back a ways
wow,
about the market. And these are going back to 2006, 2005, 2004. And they're in the bin. I've got a bin down here. They're in the bin. I've kept them that long. But what I did do, I got a cup of tea. I went through some of them and I looked at the companies that were there, the companies that were doing stuff, amazing things. Most of them don't exist anymore.
yeah,
They don't exist, and that's not because that's not because they had the wrong strategy. It's a whole myriad of different reasons. But they didn't embrace online. Certain areas now you've got to be online. B2C, you've got to be online. To get out to that market. COVID-19, everyone's working from home. Get online.
got to be online. Yeah. Mate, listen, it's been it's been an absolute pleasure. We've been talking for like well over an hour now, so I think for me, what I've taken out of this little chat, and I hope other people have too, is that for me, my takeaways are it's about being able to offer our customers and other print companies being able to offer their customers the
Yeah,
choice. And
yeah,
if they want to be able to order certain products online, order them online. It's
yeah,
about engaging with that end user. It's about understanding what their needs are. Every needs of a business is different. Where
yeah,
you can automate it, automate it. Where you can automate it, that gives you the time and the energy and the will to deal with those more bespoke, specific products which do need that hand holding.
yeah,
That's what I'm taking out of this.
yeah.
My last question to you, and it's a bit of a signature question, and it falls in with like the be brilliant stuff that we do, and we know and love. Kind of, and this doesn't have to be print related, by the way. In fact, probably it doesn't want to be at all. But if I said to you, B&B, we have a perception, an ethos about being brilliant. Be brilliant means different things to different people. Doesn't have to be something really epic. It could just be, going that extra mile to get something done. In your world, how would you apply that be brilliant? Like, what is be brilliant to you?
Being brilliant to me is engaging with people. It's something that I'm lacking right now. I'm more of a people person than anything. It's being able to engage with people at different levels and find out what they want. It's very difficult. It's great. I can speak to people all around the world from the comfort of my own home, but I like to be in front of people. I like to engage with people. I like to find out where they are. You can read people better, and that's one of the things that I think that. Our motto is partnering our customers to success, and we really mean that. It's engaging with people, and it's finding out where our customers want to go, what they want to do, and then getting their technology in line with that, or getting them in line with the technology if there's a standard thing. So,
Yeah.
so for me, it's engaging. It's engaging with people and helping people, and people have never needed as much help as they need right now. And that's the
Amazing.
bottom line.
Yeah, thank you. And obviously, one thing I forgot to ask you is that if there are any brand owners out there, or any other print companies out there that do want to talk to you personally, or the guys at Vpress, what's the best way to contact you now?
Give us a ring. Don't worry about messages, kelvin.bell@vpress.com, Kelvin Bell on LinkedIn. Connect with me. I'll help you in any way I can. You don't have to buy our software. If you've got web to print, it's not working, we can try and fix it. If you haven't got web to print and you want to know if it worked for you, give us a try.
Brilliant, cool. Thank you once again, Kelv. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
And like I say, thank you for your time. And yeah, we'll catch you all soon.
Yeah.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.